Good afternoon. Hopefully you can hear me. The red line train is just passing by. I'm on the back porch this afternoon doing some grading and reading over your third papers that came in this week. So if you haven't already seen comments on those, you'll be seeing those in the next couple of days. As I've mentioned before, I typically do 5 or 6 papers a day, so I can really focus on my comments and give you some good feedback. So working on those, and so you'll see. If you haven't received comments in your papers, some of you will see more of that today, and I'll have all those wrapped up for you in the next couple of days. So in the meantime, hope you're doing okay. The news this week from Highland Park obviously was very tragic and unsettling to say the least. So I hope you're doing okay. You probably did receive an email from Harper about the different services we have on campus for trauma, mental health issues. So please use those if you're reading all these things in the news right now and really having challenges. I think Dr. Proctor sent an email. I know we got an update yesterday just with the various resources that we have on campus. So please make use of those. And if you have any questions on accessing those services, particularly the mental health support and counseling services, especially as we have such a tragedy right here in our backyards that happened this week, please let me know. I can help you and direct you to those resources with whatever you're dealing with. And most of all, I hope you and your family and friends are safe and having a good week here as we make our way into July. So as you can see, I'm out on the, as I said, the back porch today. So I'm amongst some of my flowers. This is sometimes where I grade when it's not too hot and my allergies aren't bothering me too much. My marigolds are doing well. As you can see up there, I got another marigold. I have no idea what that little wildflower is. That took root in that little box last summer and it just comes back every year. It's come back this year and it's blooming pretty well. You can see behind me, that's my my gooseberry, one of my gooseberry plants. It's the berries are pretty good. They got a little bit scorched last month because of those hot temperatures. They're not quite used to that. But to me, it's not summer unless you have gooseberries. If you've never had them, they're fantastic. We had them in the backyard when I was a kid. My grandma had them, my great aunt had them. So to me, it's not summer unless I can have gooseberries, especially as they ripen up. So that's, I'll probably have some more of those this afternoon as I'm eating lunch. So I wanted to give you another brief update here on the new readings. And one of the reasons I wanted to sit outside here on our back porch here in Chicago is the 2 writers that I'm asking you to read for this week that you're also using for the short midterm assignment that's due by midnight on this Sunday are 2 Chicago writers. It's John Porcellino. I have one of his books here. In fact, the 2 short stories that I posted on Blackboard to have you read for the little midterm assignment are from this book, Perfect Example. I teach the whole book in English 102, but for 101, I just do a couple of the stories. We're also doing Jamila Woods this week. She's another Chicago writer, musician, poet, a little younger than Porcellino. Porcellino is closer to my age. I think he's in his mid-50s now. And Jamila Woods is one of Chance the Rapper's proteges. If you're familiar with Chance, if you're familiar with No Name and some of those younger Chicago performers and poets, that's the scene that Jamila Woods comes out of. And so for this little section of the class, I'd like to do a couple of Chicago writers. I always rotate in some different ones. So these are the ones we're doing this summer. So let me do a quick screen share and just show you, just elaborate a little bit on what I put up yesterday on Blackboard. So let me do this share and you'll see some of it here. So if you're in Blackboard, let me actually start in Blackboard. And let me move this out of the way so I can see my screen. For the midterm assignments, it's very self-explanatory. And as you notice, I'm calling it a midterm assignment. It's structured somewhat like a paper, but it's only 4 paragraphs. And it's got a slightly different structure than papers 1, 2, or 3. And you're going to notice it as soon as you take a look at the assignment. And I've also given you the steps for completing this assignment. So the first thing that I mentioned that you should do, because you have to pick one of these writers to write up this summary for Sunday's midterm assignment. Again, it's due on midnight on Sunday, and I'll talk more about that in a second because we are going to use these in class on Monday night when we're back together. And on Monday afternoon, I'm also going to quickly go through these to kind of give suggestions because we're going to use the midterm assignment. I'll give you the grades for it over the course of next week, but I'm going to read them over on Monday afternoon before class so that I can give you some suggestions because this is also going to be our starting point for paper number 4. And I think I mentioned last week when we were together. Papers 4 and 5 in the midterm they're kind of linked together. We are going to do a revision assignment. That's at the very end of the semester at the end of July. But we are going to be working on these writers for papers 4 and 5 as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So this is sort of a good starting point for those next 2 assignments. So you're going to be reading 2 of Jamila Woods' poems. They're called Deep in the Homeroom of Doom. And here, as you notice, I'm here in Blackboard in the midterm reading assignment folder. So everything you need is in here. There's even some extra stuff in here that we're going to be using in class. You don't have to necessarily look at all of this before our next class or before you turn in this assignment on Sunday. But there's 2 poems from her, Deep in the Homeroom of Doom and Daddy Dozens. Those are 2 poems. And then John Porcelino, there's 2 stories. One of them is actually kind of split in half. There's Belmont Harbor, which again comes from this book, and Celebrated Summer, which has a section at the end of it called Escape to Wisconsin. So those are the 2 poems and the 2 stories that you're going to read for this week. You can also read some of Porcelino's autobiographical comic strips from the Chicago Reader, the newspaper that he did a couple of years ago. Everything else in here is stuff we're going to use more in class on Monday night. So you can look at these, Jamila Woods, some of her music. Celebrated Summer, the name of that chapter comes from this old song by a Midwestern punk rock band called Husker Du. So you're also going to notice that there goes the train again. If you're hearing some noise, that's the red line going north to Evanston here. So the main thing, though, again, those 2 poems, those 2 short stories. Read those. Once you've read them, then you're going to see the assignment. And again, you can read this over on your own. I won't go through every little portion of this, but read them over and then pick one of these 2 authors, whichever one you feel more strongly about. They're both Chicago writers. Both of them are writing about their high school and early college experiences in these pieces. So Deep in the Homeroom of Doom, as the title suggests, is about her memories of the Catholic high school that Jamila Woods went to. It was a predominantly white high school. And she's an African-American writer from the Beverly neighborhood on the south side of the city. So that was a bit of a transition for her. She went to that high school, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm going to forget her age now. Porcelino, on the other hand, is writing about his time at Hoffman High. If you read Belmont Harbor, you'll notice he's just about to graduate from Hoffman. He grew up in Hoffman Estates. He was born in Chicago. He was born or lived in Jefferson Park until he was in grade school. And then his parents moved to Hoffman Estates in the 80s and late 70s. And so you'll see him referencing Hoffman High. He gets into Northern Illinois University for college. And so again, I like using both of these writers because they're so local, especially Porcelino, where he's got references to Arlington Heights and to Palatine and Rolling Meadows and all the other places around campus in that book, in that autobiography, since that's where he's from. And now lives in Wisconsin. He actually lives a couple hours away in Beloit, which is right over the border with Illinois. So you're going to read those. And then what you're going to do is you need to find an interview or a source with either one of the writers online. And that's where this write-up is going to come in. You're going to tell me which one you picked, paragraphs 2 and 3, as we did in the last couple of papers. You're going to pull a quotation, 2 quotations from the interview, briefly discuss them. And then you're going to sum all those up and sum up your opinion on these writers and what you learned about them from reading these poems or stories, and then also from doing some research on them in an interview online. Now, one thing you're going to notice as you're putting together this little assignment by, again, the deadline is by midnight on Sunday, so I have a chance on Monday to look these over before class. It's shorter. It's not the length of a full-length paper. And, in the past, before the pandemic, this is the kind of assignment that I might have given in class as an in-class writing, but I'm having you finish it at home so we can discuss it in class and start talking about paper number 4 already on Monday night. So my suggestions would be, again, read them over, read the 2 poems, read the stories. I hope you enjoy them. Again, they're writing about their younger days in Chicago and the greater Chicago area, about their experiences in high school, their experiences as they were getting ready to go to college. So hopefully there'll be a lot in there that you can relate to, that you can find some kind of common ground with. And then when you're writing up this assignment for Sunday, the goal is to find out more about them. What got them started as writers and artists. If you find anything about their Chicago influences, you can certainly include that in the paper. But, this is slowly moving us towards what we're going to do with papers 4 and 5, where you're going to be looking in the Harper database for additional source material. So this is kind of a start to that. So that's a lot of what we're going to do together on Monday night in class, is take a look at what you've already done with this assignment. We'll talk about paper number 3 as well, and then start talking about how we're going to use this material that you're working on now for the fourth paper of the class, and also for the fifth paper of the class as we, get into the second half of the semester. And thankfully also over the next few weeks, as I've mentioned, starting on Monday, we've got those 3 back-to-back classes now that we're past the holidays that we had in June and early July here. So we'll be really focusing on these assignments. And again, the purpose of doing those first 3 papers and quizzes was really to sort of, get my feedback so you can see what I'm suggesting for your paper. So as we get into these slightly more involved assignments here in the second half of the semester, you have a good sense of what to work on, how to structure your essays, what other skills you want to develop here as we get into the second half of the semester. So let me sum all that up before I go back and grade a few more of your third paper this afternoon. So just keep in mind for next up, there's no reading quiz this week because you're doing this short midterm assignment instead. So read the 2 Jamila Woods poems, read those 2, or actually 3, depending on how you read Celebrated Summer, those short stories from John Porcelino from his autobiographical graphic memoir that I've posted. Pick one of them, find an interview with them, and then write up that midterm assignment that I just went through. So if you have any questions on that, as always, please send me an email. I'm happy to meet over Zoom. I'm happy to answer questions. That train's a little louder. I don't know if you're hearing that one. Again, you may not be hearing it at all, but it's the red line going north. That actually may have been the purple line. Yeah, I think that was a purple line train. It was going faster, it was going express. So again, take your time with this. I hope you enjoy the readings. Let me know if you have questions. It's a slightly different structure than we've used for the last couple of papers in the sense that it's shorter, but you're putting the quotations in the same way as we did in papers number 2 and number 3. So let me know if you need any help on that. Be on the lookout for those comments and the grades on your third paper. If you haven't already seen those from the batch that I did yesterday, I'll have all those back to you in the next couple of days, all set. And as I said, please let me know if you have any questions on these. If you get a chance to go outside today, it's pretty nice, a little humid out here, but not too bad. And it's not raining as it's been on and off the last couple of days. So I do hope you have a good rest of the week. I'll post my usual Friday update and reminder. Like I said, hope you have a nice next couple of days. I'm going to enjoy a couple of gooseberries now as I grade my papers. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.